Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Ask the Expert webinar, What's Possible with the New Email Designer? My name is Tiago de Souza, and I will serve as your moderator for today's event. Now, I would like to take a moment to introduce our presenter, Suhas Ranganath, a solution development and deployment consultant here at SAS. Suhas is an experienced email marketing professional with over 8 years in the industry, a Salesforce certified email specialist, and Braze certified email marketer. Suhas has worked with leading organizations including Theorem, Merkle, and Zeta Global, driving impactful campaigns and advancing email innovation. Suhas, please take it away.
Thank you, Thiago. Hello, everyone. Thank you for joining us today to discuss the new email designer, which is a drag and drop email editor. The new email designer that the CA360 has is an OEM solution, which is based on Stripe. Now, some of you might be familiar with Stripe. They are one of the leading email solutions provider. And we went with Stripe because we wanted you to have the option of efficiently building your email templates using a drag and drop editor, but also have the option of using HTML and CSS if you choose to. We also wanted you to have access to a list of pre-built templates that you can choose from and add your own content to those templates and start creating your emails. You will also get access to the latest features when it comes to email, like AMP, where you can add more interactive elements to your email, like feedback forms inside your email and image carousels, etc. So when you create a new email task in CI360, you will see three options. Till now, you only had the two options, which is the layout manager that you see on your screen right now, which is the current email editor that we have in CI360, where you have your options on the left, the elements on your left, the workspace in the middle, and your settings and options on the right. The next option you had was the HTML editor, where you could copy and paste your HTML code and preview your email. Whenever you make any changes to your HTML code and clicked on the update preview button, you could see those changes applied to your email, and you could finish your email and start sending your email. Now you have a third option, which is the new email designer. Now you will be able to choose from one of the three options that is available to you. The layout manager and the HTML editor will continue to coexist with the new email designer. We are planning to retire the layout manager in the future, but it won't happen suddenly. You will be given prior notifications, and you will have enough time to smoothly transition your templates from the layout manager to the email designer. And now we highly recommend anyone who is creating an email in CI360 to continue editing your email in the original email editor that you chose. For example, if you chose the new email designer as the editor for your email, we recommend you continue using the new email designer to edit your email further. If you do try to use the layout manager, once you started using the new email designer, you will lose all your content and you will see a blank template. There will be an indicator which will indicate which of the three options you choose as your original editor when you started creating your email task. Now, this is the layout of the new email designer. You have which is pretty similar to the layout manager which you saw earlier. You have your elements on the left, you have your workspace in the middle, and you have your options on the right hand side. Now, some of you have already had the chance to use the new email designer as the part of the early adopter test that we did. And the new designer will be available in the production tenants in Q1 2026, which is in a couple of weeks. So while the layout manager has been a trusted workhorse for all of us to build emails for some time now, it had its own limitations. And with the new email designer, we have covered those limitations. Some of the upgrades that we have done, as you can see on your screen right now, with the layout manager, you could not set the width of your email. It was fixed to 600 pixels. Now you can choose the width of your email up to a maximum of 900 pixels and to a minimum of 320 pixels. You can add up to 10 columns per row. We call them containers in the new email designer, but you can add up to 10 columns, but which was limited to 5 in the layout manager. You also have the option to specify line height and add images and emojis right next to your text within the text box, which was not possible with the layout manager. The last two options or the last two upgrades are my personal favorites. You have the option to choose whether you want an image to be responsive or not. Now, when I say responsive, you have the option to choose whether your image resizes automatically to fit the width of your screen in mobile devices, which was not possible with the layout manager. Whenever you used an image in the layout manager, it was automatically responsive. There was no option to choose whether it would resize or not. The another one of my favorite upgrades is you have reverse tracking available in the new email designer. With the layout manager, you didn't have that option. When I say reverse stacking, with regular stacking, you have the left column always stack on top of the right column. In the new email designer, it is possible to reverse that stacking, so the right column stacks on top of the left column. Some of the functionalities of the layout manager, however, have been carried over to the new email designer, like merge tags, display conditions, link tracking, which some of you might be familiar with, the responsive previews tab, where you preview your emails and send test previews to yourself. You can save your HTML content blocks, and you can save your email as a template for future use as well, and the save task button. These are the options that have been carried over or integrated from the layout manager to the new email designer, and they work exactly the same way that you're used to. Now, some of you might be familiar with the dynamic assets option that you had with the layout manager. The synchronized modules will be replacing the dynamic assets in the new email designer. You will see more on the synchronized modules in the upcoming slides. These are the out-of-the-box elements that you're going to have in the email designer. You have your image, text, button, spacer, social media block, menu block, HTML editor, banner, and the video block. We'll go through each and every element in detail in a couple of minutes in a demo video. But we also have a countdown timer and amp blocks, which is coming very soon. With the amp blocks, like I mentioned, you have the option to create interactive elements like image carousels, accordions, and forms that you can actually embed within your email that the recipients can fill and submit within their inbox. So let's begin the demo.
Let's create an email task and go through each element and all the features that we have in the new email designer. It can be any type of email task from any audience source. So as you can see, the new email designer is integrated with the new email task design. So when you click add content, you'll see three options: the layout manager, the HTML editor, and the new email designer. Let's go into the email designer. You can see that the layout is pretty similar to the existing layout manager. You have your options on the left, you have your workspace in the middle, and your settings on the right hand side. You have your responsive previews and configure link tracking options on the top left corner, save task, undo, redo options, and the option to open the HTML editor, the mobile and desktop settings on the top right corner. You also have the option to customize your layout by moving the elements from left to right, and your options and settings will move to the left automatically. When you create your email, you have three basic structures. Those are stripes, structures, and containers. All your elements like text, image, buttons, they always go inside a container. When you add an element to your container, you have the option to move that element from one container to another container.
For example, here I am moving the image that I have added to the top right container to the bottom container, and again to the top left container.
On the right hand side, you have your global styles and layout pane. You have total of 4 panes, which is the global styles and layout, headers, button, and stripe settings. These settings are applicable throughout your email. First, you have the global styles and layout settings, where you have general background color, where you can select a background for your whole email. Just click on it and select a color which you want to set as a background color to your email. Next, you have your background image. You can turn it on, which is applicable to our entire email, and you can paste an URL that you already have for your background image, or you can drag and drop an image from your system, or browse your system for an image that you want to upload to CL60 as a background image for your email, or you can select one of the images that you have previously uploaded to your gallery. Then you have the settings for your background image. You have the horizontal position, vertical position that you can set for your background image. You also have your background width and background height, which is set to auto by default, but you can change them according to your preference. It is highly important to set a background color as a fallback for your background image for mailboxes which do not support background images. Next, you have the message content width, which you can set from up to a maximum of 900 pixels and a minimum of 320 pixels, which was not available with the layout manager. Next, you have your message alignment. You can align your message to the left, right, or to the center. Next, you have your links underlined for text link by default turned on, and your responsive design by default turned on. This is an unique option where your email adjusts itself for small screens by stacking multi-columns and resizing images automatically. This option is only available in the new email designer. You can turn this option off if you want to have the same exact design in your mobile devices as your desktop devices. Next, you have the right to left text direction option. You can turn it on, and it is useful for languages like Arabic, Hebrew, etc., which read from right to left. Next, you have the custom list styles, which you can turn on and set the style for your lists. You also have the same set of settings in your text element if you choose to use a list in your email. Finally, you have the default structure padding and margin settings. You can set the default margin and padding in your email, which will be applicable throughout your email. There is an option in the center as a lock button, which you can turn on when you change the padding or margin on one side, or the same margin or padding will be applied to all the sides. You can turn it off to change the paddings individually. Finally, you have the options to completely turn off the global styles, and you can drag and drop an element and choose your settings based on your preference within the element itself instead of relying on the global styles. Now let's look at the global styles for the stripes. Remember, stripes is one of the basic structures of the new email designer. Within stripes, you have your structures and containers, and the containers will have all your elements like text, images, and buttons. You can assign 4 different categories to your stripes. Those are header, content, footer, and info area. Each of these individual categories have their own list of settings that you can choose or set in the global settings. Let's set the background color for the stripe of the category content. Now let's add a new stripe of the same category. As you can see, the settings have been applied because the stripe is of the same category. The background color is carried over from the global styles to the new stripe.
Along with the background color, you also have font size, font color, link color, and you can also add a color to your links when you hover on them, and paragraph bottom space that you can set within the global settings of the stripes. Now let's look at the next pane in the global settings, that is the headings pane. You have 6 headings, H1 through H6, each of which will have options such as font family, letter spacing, line height, etc. to be preset. You can use the text element and add it to a container and select the text within and choose one of the headings that you have preset to apply the settings that you have already set for that particular heading. Now let's look at the last pane in the global settings, that is the button styles, where you preset the styles for your CTA buttons for your email. The first option that you see is the support for Outlook option, which is turned on by default. This option ensures by using BML code that your CTA buttons with rounded corners and icons in them are rendered as designed in Outlook clients. Next, you can select the font family for your CTA button text and the font size on desktop, because all the global settings that we are going through right now is for the desktop view. You can also set your text style as bold, italic. You can choose a font color for your CTA button text, letter spacing, button color, paddings, border color. Power button styles gives you the option to set a background color for your CTA and a font color for your CTA button, which will appear only when your mouse hovers on the CTA button. Next, you have the option to fit your CTA button to the width of the container automatically in desktop devices. If you turn this option on, whenever you drag in and drop a CTA button, it will automatically resize itself to the width of the container. If the container is 230 pixels, then your CTA button will automatically resize itself to 230 pixels. So these were all the global styles and settings that you could preset before creating your email in the new email designer. Remember, these were the styles and settings that are applicable only to the desktop view. You also have exactly the same set of settings, styles, and options to preset for your mobile view as well. For example, the font size on mobile, font color that you see here is only applicable to the mobile devices. The font size and the color for desktop devices will be inherited from the desktop global settings that you previously saw. You have all the settings like global padding, global margins, and the settings within the 4 panes, that is the stripes, buttons, and the headers for mobile view as well. So using global styles and settings, you can really minimize the effort of setting styles for each of your elements every time you use them within your email. Now, let's go through each of the elements that you have in the new email designer that you can drag in and drop and start creating your email. So we will be focusing on the elements and the options within rather than the design itself. You have a list of pre-built layouts or structures that you can directly drag in and drop from the layouts tab into your workspace, and you can start creating your email. Remember, when you drag in and drop a layout from the layouts library, depending on where you drop it, it will be added to a stripe and will inherit the properties of that particular stripe. Let's begin with the first of our elements, that is the image element. As you saw with the background image in the global styles, you can choose to drag in and drop your image or from your system, or paste a URL that you already have, or browse your system and choose an image to upload to CI360. Or you can also choose from a set of images that you have already uploaded to your gallery. When you use an URL like I'm doing here, you have 2 options: either to save it to the gallery, which means the image would be available across all email tasks for this tenant, or leave it as external, which would mean the image will not be uploaded to the gallery. You also have the option to edit your image within the email designer itself. The image editor gives you the option of resizing your image, cropping your image, and adding the text on top of your image that you just uploaded. Once you're happy with the changes, you can click apply and save your image, which will then be added to your email. Or you can simply click on cancel to ignore all the changes that you just made to your image and upload the original version of the image to your email. You also have the option to replace your image, delete your image. Then you can add an URL or a link to your image, add an alt text in case your image link gets broken. You can resize your image to fit the container or restore it to your original version, or you can manually change the width and height of your image by manually changing the value of the width and height of your image. You can change the alignment of your image to left, right, or to be in the center. You can have rounded corners for your image, and this is a unique option, the rollover effect, where you can choose to add an image on top of your image, which will only appear when your mouse hovers on your image.
You can select the rollover image in the same way as you select the image for your image element. You can just copy and paste the URL or upload it from your system, or select one of the images that's already uploaded in your gallery. I'll be using an URL here, and as you can see, when I hover over the image, you can see a new image on top of it. The next few options that we're going to see are common across all the elements. Hide element gives you the option to hide your element in either desktop or mobile devices by just selecting the mobile or desktop option in the feature. Next, you have your margin, which is common across all the elements. You can select your margins like we saw in the global settings. Anchor link is another feature which is common across all the elements. Using the anchor link, you can create a unique name for your element and use that name as a link in another element. When you click on that element, the email will automatically scroll to the element which you have created the unique anchor link name for. As you can see in this example here, I have used the anchor name as a link in the CTA button. And when the email is created, when you click on the CTA button, the email will automatically scroll to the image. Next, you have the option to save your element as an HTML file to your system or an asset to the asset library. Just select on the save block option and select the option you want and click on save. Next, you have the display conditions option, where you can choose to display or hide the element based on the conditions or the criteria that you have set using the data that you have in your data hub. In this example, we are adding a criteria to display the image element only to the users who are 20 years of age. Display conditions is inherited from the layout manager into the new email designer and is available across all the three basic structures. You can choose to add display conditions to stripes, structures, and the containers. Finally, we have the link tracking option, where you can set additional link tracking to your link of any particular element. This is another feature that has been integrated from the layout manager to the new email designer. Like I mentioned before, the last four options that you see on your screen, from anchor link to the link tracking, are common across all the elements. Now, let's see the text element and its features. Like I mentioned in the global settings, when you drag and drop a text element, you have the option to select one of the 6 headers, which you have already preset in the global styles and settings. You also have the option to customize your text by choosing a different font family, font size, font color, etc. within the text element itself. You have a list of preloaded fonts that you can choose from, but at the moment there is no option to upload a custom font to your email. You can choose a text background color for your text, or
you can choose a background color for the entire text element, which will override any background color you have set in the global styles and settings. You also have the basic text editing options like bold, italic, underline, strike through, etc., text alignment on desktop, and text indentation. And you also have the options to delete all the styles that you have applied previously. You can insert a link to your text, add an image next to your text itself within the text element itself. The process to add an image next to your text is exactly the same as choosing an image for your image element. You can either drag and drop an image from your system, use a URL, or choose an image from the gallery. You also have a list of emojis that you can use inside your text element. You have emojis of different categories that you can select from, which are preloaded to the new email designer. You also have a list of special characters that you can choose from and the option to insert a table. Next, you have the option to use lists inside your text element. You can use ordered or unordered lists, that is the bulleted or numbered lists. You can also customize your bullets or numbers by choosing your preference from the drop down. Next, you have the merge tags option, where you can choose any data to personalize your email from your data hub. This is again inherited from the layout manager. Next, you have the hide element option, which we saw in the image element. You have the disable line wrap option, which you can turn on to disable line wrap in your text element, which is to say your line won't break at the end of your container. Next, you have the right to left text direction option, which we saw in the global settings, which you can turn on to read your text from right to left. Next, you have the fixed height option, where you can specify a height for your text element and align it either top, bottom, or align it to the center. Next, you have your padding on desktop option to add space between your text and the container, and you have your common elements that we saw earlier, that is the anchor link, save as block as HTML, display conditions, and the link tracking. Next, we have the button element. When you drag in and drop a CTA button, it will automatically inherit the styles that you have preset in the global settings that we saw earlier, but you can use the options within the button block element to customize it further, which will then override the settings that you have preset in the global settings. You can use the exact list of features and options that you saw in the global settings to customize your CTA button. You can add a link to your button. You can choose to fix the height of your button to your preference. And you can also add an icon next to your CTA button text. If you do choose to add an icon to your CTA button, you have to keep in mind that the icon will not be displayed in certain Outlook clients. The process of adding an icon next to your CTA text is exactly the same as choosing an image to your image element. You can use an URL that you already have, or select an image from the gallery, or drag in and drop an image from your system. When you do add an icon, you have the option to have your icon on the left of your CTA text or on the right, and choose to customize its width and indentation within the CTA button. Next, you have the option of hiding your CTA button and adding padding and margins to your CTA button and your common elements that we saw in the previous elements. You also have a list of options that I mentioned earlier that you can use to customize your CTA button, like font size on desktop, text style, font color, fit to container, etc. You can also choose to have a background color for the entire CTA button block and not just the CTA button. You have the option of choosing to have rounded corners for your CTA button that I mentioned earlier, which you need to enable
the Outlook support option in the global settings for it to appear as designed within Outlook clients. You can then choose what style of border you want and the color of the border. You can customize your button further by adding hover button styles by choosing color and font color that appear only when you hover on your CTA button. Remember, the hover button styles only appear within your button element if you had turned the hover button styles option on in your global settings. If the hover button styles is turned off in your global settings for buttons, then you will not see the options to customize your hover button styles within your button element. Now, let's see the spacer element. Within the spacer element, you have the options of choosing either the line mode or the spacer mode. You can use the line mode as a divider between the content blocks and the spacer mode as just a white space between the content blocks. You can change the width of your line by specifying the width either in percentages or in pixels using the option that you see here. You can also change the color of your line, the design, and the thickness of the divider line. You can choose between three designs, that is the solid divider, dashed divider, or dotted design, and you can choose the thickness according to your preference. If your divider is less than the width of your email, you can align it based on your preference. You can also set the background color for the entire divider block. If you have set a background color in the global settings, it will automatically inherit that background color. Next few options are the common features that we see across all the elements. Now, let's look at the social block. The social networking element gives you the option of inserting social media icons to your email directly from the new email designer. You have a list of options that you can choose from. You can customize them and change the look and feel of your icons. You can also upload your custom icons, similar to uploading an image from your system or from a URL. You also have the option to choose from a long list of icons that are available within the email designer for you to choose from. You can have the social media icons, chats, and other social media icons that you can directly select from within the email designer. You can choose the order of appearance of your social media icons by moving them around to top or to the bottom. You can add links to them, you can change the sizes of your icons, and you can also add space between the icons as your preference. You also have the option of adding title and alt text to each and every icon. If you turn them on, you'll see the text boxes where you can enter the title and alt text for each of your icon. You will see these text boxes where you can add the title and alt for each of the icons only when you turn the title and alt text option on. You can choose to align your social media icon as per your preference, and you have the rest of the options which are common across all the elements. That is the hide element, margin, anchor link, save HTML block, and display conditions and link tracking. Now, let's take a look at the menu block. With the menu block, you can add a ready-to-use menu to your email directly from the new email designer. You have three types of menus available: links, icons, links, and icon both. You can have up to a maximum of 30 menu items. Uploading an icon to your menu is similar to uploading an image to the image element. You can choose an image that is already uploaded in the gallery, or use an URL, or browse your system and upload an image. You can name your menu items, add links to them, and you can choose to hide any one specific menu item as per your preference in either desktop or mobile devices individually. In the Styles tab, you can choose to add a divider between your menu items. You can choose the thickness and the design of your divider as per your preference which is pretty similar to the divider and spacer module that we saw earlier. You can also specify a color for your divider. Also choose a font family for your menu items, change the font size on desktop, and apply basic text style options like making your icon text bold or italic. Also change the color of your menu item based on your preference. Now let's take a look at the HTML block in the new email designer. The HTML block gives you the option of inserting custom HTML code to your email design. Also, when you are in the HTML element, you can use the selector and simply click on any element within your email design and see the HTML code of that particular element. You can also update the code and still continue to use the new email designer to make further changes to your email, which was not previously available with the layout manager. Once you have added your custom code to the HTML block, you can simply apply the code and see that your custom HTML element is visible within the new email designer. You can use the default CSS option to see the entire CSS of your email, or use the custom CSS option to add any custom CSS to your custom HTML that you wish to add. Also, you have the option of selecting a HTML file to your HTML block instead of manually adding your HTML. You also have the common options that you see across all the elements. Now, let's see the banner element. The banner element gives you the opportunity to create a multi-layered banner for your email. You can use images, text, or a combination of both to create a unique banner. When you add a banner, you first need to select a base image, and on top of which you can add multiple images, text, and filters. Each time you need to select an image, the process is exactly the same as selecting an image to an image element. You have the option of flipping your image horizontally or vertically. You can change the opacity of your image from lighter to darker depending on your preference. You can also rotate your image by changing the values in the rotation option. You can also apply a filter to your image. You can choose a filter from the drop-down in the filter option. For example, let's apply the blur feature. You can just simply change the values and your filter will be applied to your image. Now let's add some text to our banner. You can simply drag and drop the text box and start adding your text on top of your banner. You get the basic text editing options like font change, font color, text alignment, text style, etc., along with opacity and the rotation option we saw earlier. Finally, you can crop your banner to the ratio you want by selecting the ratio from the drop-down. You also get the common features that we see in every element, that is the hide element, margins, padding, anchor name, and display conditions. Finally, we have the video element. You can simply drag and drop the video element and add a link to your video, which will be added to your email. It is important to remember that the video will not actually play inside the inbox of a recipient, but rather take them to the URL that you have mentioned in the video element. By default, the new email designer picks up the title of the video as the alt text for your video element. You can then customize the alt text as per your preference. You also have the option to add a custom thumbnail to your video. You can choose from one of the video images that you have uploaded previously to the gallery, or use an URL, or drag and drop an image from your system, exactly like we do for the image element. You can also choose a different play button from the list of play button options that is given to you, depending on your preference. You can also change the size of your thumbnail image. You can change the width, height as per your preference, or make it fit to the container. your thumbnail image is responsive by default, but you can turn it off if you want the thumbnail image to not resize in your mobile devices. If the width of your thumbnail image is less than the container width, the option to align your video element is activated. You can then align your video as per your preference. So far, we saw all the settings and options for your email for the desktop view. You also have the same settings for the mobile view, where you can customize your email by changing the settings which applies only in the mobile view. Remember, the desktop settings that we did only applies to the desktop view. There are some options which are unique to the mobile view, which are not available in the desktop settings. For example, when you have two columns in a section of your email, by default, the responsive structure is that the left column always stacks on top of the right column in mobile view. But you can choose to reverse this by switching on the containers inversion option, which would mean that the right column sits on top of the left column only in mobile view. This will not affect the desktop design of your email. It is important to remember the containers inversion options is only enabled for structures with two columns. If you have more than two columns in a structure, you will not see the containers inversion option. And you can also see the rest of the option is exactly the same as the desktop view settings. But these options only apply for the mobile view of your email. And this rule applies to every element in the email designer. As you can see, even the text block has the same options that you saw in the desktop view, but these options only apply for the mobile view. Which means to say you can have different font settings for desktop and mobile view, and same with other options, which gives you a unique opportunity to really customize your email for your user based on the device width. You can check your additional link tracking that you have enabled for your links by clicking on the overall configure link tracking options. You can individually set your link tracking or update your link tracking or change the default query parameter settings for each of your links. The responsive previews option gives you the option to check your email design in mobile, tab, and desktop devices. Also, preview any merge tags that you have used in your email design and send a test preview to your inbox. Exactly the same way like we did with the layout manager. Finally, you can save your email task by clicking on the Save Task option. You can just give it a name and select the folder that you want to save your task to and click on Save. You can also save your email design as a template for future use by clicking on the Edit option. Then you'll see an option to save your email as a template. You can just simply click on it and choose whether you want the template to be saved as a HTML file to your system or as an asset to the asset library. If you do want to save it as an asset to the asset library, you can click on the asset option, give your template a name, and select the location where you want to save your template in the asset library. Remember, when you save a template from the new email designer, you will see two separate files created. One, a HTML file, and a CSS file with the same name that you have specified for your template. Now, let's search for your template in the asset library. As you can see, you will see two separate files created. One is the HTML file and another is the CSS file with the same name, but with CSS appended to the name of our CSS file. Now, let's create a new task and upload our template that we just saved to the new task. To upload a template, you click on Add Content and click on the pen option in the current template. You have to select the new email designer option for uploading the template for the new designer. You can then choose to upload your template either from the assets library or from your system. Remember, if you are uploading it from your system, you would have to select both the CSS and the HTML file. But if you are uploading it from the assets library, you have to only select the HTML file that you have previously saved. The new email designer combines the CSS with the HTML file that you have chosen, and you will have your template ready to be customized for a new email. Any changes you make to your new email will not affect the original template that you have saved in the assets library. It is important to remember to continue editing or customizing your email in the original editor that your email or your email template was created. You will see the word current next to one of your email editors, indicating which editor was originally used to create the email task or your email template. If you do try to open an email in an email editor which was not its original editor, you will see a blank template. That is to say, if you try to open an email template created in the new email designer in the layout manager, you will see a blank template, and the vice versa is true as well. Not just the whole email design, you can also save a specific section of your email as a module in the new email designer, which will be available across all email tasks for your tenant for future use. You can click on the Save as a Module option, give your module a name and a description if you choose to. The description is not mandatory. The category option will have a list of pre-loaded categories that you can choose from, but you cannot customize a category or upload a category on your own. You can also specify a tag to your module through which you can easily find your module in the module library. The synchronized option that you see turned off on your screen is the replacement for the dynamic assets feature in the layout manager. You'll see more information on it in the coming slides. Once you're happy with your settings, you can simply click on Save and your module will be available in the module library. You can then open your module library in any email task that you create and see your module that you just saved is accessible in the module library. Now, let's create a new email task and see if we can use the module that we just saved in the new email design. As you can see, the module that we just saved is accessible in the new task. You can simply drag it and drop it into a container and start customizing it to your preference. Any structure, be it a stripe structure or a container or an individual element, can be saved as a module for future use. Unless the module you have saved is a synchronized module, any changes you make in a module will not affect the original module that you have saved in the modules library. Now, let's take a look at the synchronized modules.
Hopefully that gave you some idea on the new email designer. And like I mentioned in the demo, the new synchronized modules will be available, which is a replacement for the dynamic assets in the layout manager, will be available in the GA release or the production tenant release of the new designer in a couple of weeks. The synchronized modules is just another module that you save, but with the synchronization option turned on. Remember, you can only save a module or a synchronized module without any display conditions or custom merge tags in it. If you have any custom merge tags or display conditions in it, you will not be able to save a module or save it as a synchronized module. You can use system merge tags and email contact merge tag within your email and save it as a module or a synchronized module. You will see an indicator that you see on your screen to show in the module library to show that the module that you have saved is a synchronized module or not. The module again, the synchronized module again will be available across all email tasks like the regular modules that you saw in the video. the synchronization is turned off by default. Whenever you save a synchronized module and use it in a new email task, the synchronization option in the new task will be turned off by default. You would have to turn it on for the module to be synchronized. Now, when you turn on the synchronization option, you will have three options. That is the update module, restore, or break link with the module option. So the update module, whenever you make any changes to the module and click on update module, those changes will be applicable across all the email tasks that you have used your synchronized module in. The restore module just deletes all the changes that you have made to the module and restores it to the original version. And the break link with module option breaks link with the synchronization and applies whatever changes that you have made to this particular task only, and not apply the changes across all the tasks where the synchronized module has been used. And like I mentioned earlier, the synchronized modules option or the feature will be available in the upcoming release of the new email designer. So not just the designer, but we have a few exciting new future email items that are coming out as well. We are planning to release a new variant of A/B testing. Right now, as you might know, A/B testing is only possible with subject lines. Now we are planning to include A/B testing for email content, senders, and pre-headers as well. You'll also have personalized URL query parameters. Right now, only the default query parameters only support system merge tags. You will be able to personalize them using custom merge tags in the future. And the third option is you will have a GenAI agent, which will help migrate your templates from the layout manager into the new email designer. Not just help you migrate your templates from the layout manager to the new email designer, but it will also help you create new emails. You can just simply upload a design of your email, and it will generate a new designer specific code, that is the Stripe specific code for you, which you can use and customize the email that you want to create. So you would not have to create your email from scratch. You also have like I mentioned earlier, you also have the AMP features, templates, pre-built templates, and versioning of your email tasks coming, and many more. So thank you, and hopefully you have some idea on the new email designer and start using the new email designer pretty soon.
Thank you. With that, we'll be moving into the Q&A segment of the webinar. All right, now, one question here for us. In what ways can simplifying layouts and reducing hand coding with the SaaS email designer improve both speed of production and overall user experience in email campaigns?
When, for example, templates and modules will obviously give you the advantage of not having to create anything from scratch. You can just use a template or use a module that you have already pre-saved and start creating your email and sending, which will make your email creation more efficient, and you will be able to create more emails and in less time, which will obviously improve your performance. And with the options that you saw and with the new features that you have in the email designer, you will be able to create more interactive and more exciting emails for your users or your recipients.
Perfect. Thank you. Someone else is asking, is there a feature equivalent to the dynamic asset feature in the layout manager?
Yes, I think I explained it in the demo as well. So the synchronized modules will be replacing the dynamic assets feature, and it will be available in the GA release or in the production tenant release that's coming up in a few weeks' time.
Perfect. Thank you. You might have touched on this too, but what is the current support for AMP with mailbox providers?
That's a good question. AMP is a new technology, and it is from Google. So right now, Gmail and Yahoo are the only two major MSPs that support AMP right now, and a handful of others which are not which we don't consider as major. But the support is quickly gaining. AMP is quickly gaining popularity, and we'll see more support on it soon.
Thank you. Another question here. Would this work if I copy the code from an existing template and paste it in the new designer?
We wouldn't recommend you copying an entire HTML code and pasting it in the new email designer just because of the coding structures. The CSS classes that the new email designer uses are completely different from what you would be using as with your own HTML code and with your own CSS. So it would still work and it would still render your email as best as possible. But when you do try to drag and drop new elements within the new email designer for the HTML that you pasted, there will be a clash of CSS codes, and it might affect your email performance.
Gotcha. Thank you. I'm afraid that's all the time we have for questions today, but if we did not get to yours, we will answer all unanswered questions in our follow-up communities post. Thank you, Suhas, for your answers, and thanks to everyone in the audience for joining us today. On behalf of myself, Suhas, and all of SAS, we really hope they enjoyed today's webinar. Thank you all, and have a great rest of your day.
Thanks, guys.